Hey everybody, welcome back. It is the evening, it's a Monday night at this point. Uh, and it's been raining a lot, kind of snowing too. So actually basically getting cozy again. I invite you to get cozy with me while watching this video. I'm going to be talking about the decks I've been using and then some thoughts I've been having about them. So, yeah, I'll be tackling the Tantric Dakini Oracle and then the Thoth deck. Honestly, there are some other decks that I have been using. So it's not the decks I'm using now and why tag that I like to do every so often on my channel. It's just a little talk about tarot cards and maybe some plans or things that I have with these two particular decks. All right, let's start with the Tantric Dakini Oracle, which is in this box that I made for it. It used to be called the Secret Dakini Oracle. Basically, it's a tarot deck minus court cards, plus 3 time cards, meaning past, present, and future. So actually, it's an equivalent of a tarot deck. Every oracle card has the equivalent in the tarot, although sometimes it makes perfect sense. Sometimes you really have to dig for it a little bit. You have to look for that meaning, and well, it's a bit of a gamble, I must say. It's a deck with feminine energy. I mean, a Dakini is a feminine power. And there's a lot of humor in it. At least things like Cosmic Carrot is something that makes me laugh. Then there are cards like these that sometimes I struggle with, not in the sense of meaning, because this does make sense as the Three of Pentacles, but more in the image. Somehow, I mean, this reminds me of actual artwork that I saw as a kid, and it freaked me out. Actual life-size horses hung up in trees in the forest. Yeah, that was a thing. As you can see, I wrote on each card to remind myself without using the guidebook which tarot card equivalent this would be, right? So I mean, I like the artwork, and the pearls before swine makes sense, but then in order to translate it to some sort of a message and it being actually more useful to me personally, a tarot reader, than typical oracle cards, I made sure to write down in every single corner what the equivalent of the tarot card is, because this is the 8 of coins. So it's a work card. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Then I kind of wish the little number wasn't there. I think it's just to find the card in the guidebook, right? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I love using decks without guidebooks, without having the guidebook near me. I want to use cards. That's it. I don't want to have a whole book next to me or a little booklet or anything. Yeah, so this is why I sometimes write on cards, okay? And this is the newer version, so it's not any vintage copy that, I'm butchering with my writing. I did this quite a while ago. It works. I must say it works. A few years ago, I made a video that's called Tantric Dakini Oracle is Blowing My Mind. And honestly, it still is. This is the deck of the moment. And it's been the deck for 2 months now, nonstop. Like, this is the one I want. A really good combination of Oracle and Tarot. Perfect. Serpent Power. You know, some cards make sense to me, someone who doesn't know anything about Tantra. and different traditions of Tantra, apparently, because this book is all over the place, apparently. I didn't know that. But Secret Serpent Power makes sense on its own, you know? But then it makes even more sense knowing that it's the Eight of Wands. You see? And so many cards are just freaking beautiful. This is one of the first collage decks, I believe, that came out. This is a 70s deck, 70s artwork, and it's definitely analog collage. And some of the cards are a little bit unfocused because of that, but it's so charming, and I really, really like it. So even though there are some cards, as I said, that I don't fully understand to this day, or that I don't really like, I'm gonna try to make some sense out of them today with you by reading some excerpts from the guidebook about these cards. There are 6 cards that I am not sure I like or understand. Did I get them all? No, that's 5. I think maybe the horse is part of it. You know, there's another card in here that I love that has horses on it. It's a 6 of something. 6 of wands. No, 6 of cups. Horseplay. I love this card. It reminds me of so many things that I love. It reminds me of John Steinbeck's Red Pony. It reminds me of Patti Smith and horses, horses, horses. I mean, none of it was deliberate, but I mean, I think. But I love this image, and it always gives me so much. Yeah, it's awesome. Just to show you the Living Goddess card, I drew a little balance there, the scales, to show that it's supposed to be justice. And then, as you already saw, the lemniscate with the lotus one, that would be strength, the equivalent of strength at least. Now, I want to maybe mod these cards, and the reason I also have my Thoth here is because I'm thinking about doing a similar thing to this deck. Because this is my Dutch Thoth. It was a gift, and I treasure it. I treasure it in a way that I don't treasure my other decks. It's very different. I throw this baby around. I held this under the pouring rain. I anoint it with anything I can find, really. That sounds creepy, but just with olive oil and then almond oil and, you know, the oils that I make. There's some patchouli in there for sure, which I always appreciate. Then I also burn it in the flame of a candle, and yeah, definitely do some smoke in there, you know. I mean, I keep it in the smoke of the incense. The only thing I realized that just now, half a year later or a year later, I'm not even sure, than this video, I forgot a step. Because if you noticed, I have 3 out of the 4 elements there. Water, rain, fire, the candle, the flame, right? Air, of course, the smoke. And how could I forget and postpone it for so long to actually bury this deck somewhere for a little while? No wonder I sometimes have trouble reading this copy of the Thoth, because it's not grounded. I actually did a ritual with it, and I didn't finish it. Like, how fucking Crowley-esque is that of me, right? Like Boleskine House, honestly. This is, as you could see, definitely my throwback deck. Like, I would have kept Universal Hexagram in the deck as a kid, and so yeah, this is like a special one that I use as if I don't know the tarot, which of course you can't do, but it's just a kind of a, what can I say? I'm just playing with this deck, and I'm using it differently, and I treasure it differently. As I said, I'm really rough on the cards. I just put a rubber band around it and throw them in my bag this way. And they're supposed to get creased and bumps and scratched. And I also wrote on the cards. I wrote on all the courts. So the Queen of Cups here, a natural phenomenon is lakes, and then her word, her meaning, if you will, is reflection. Because again, as a young reader, this is all hypothetical, I would have trouble reading these courts, and I just want to read this deck a little bit quicker and snappier. I don't want to be precious about this one. I'm not saying I'm necessarily precious about my other decks, except that I use them all. It's just that I do feel like I take better care of them. They at least all have a box or a bag. When I feel the bag isn't sturdy enough around the deck I have, then I will transfer them to a wooden box so that they won't get damaged in my bag. No way I'm going to do this with this one. This one is supposed to get damaged. It's different. I thought of trimming the white borders, but it just does not feel right. I don't know what it is. Honestly, sometimes I feel they look awful. The gray border, so boring and ugly. And I hate that the cards are stretched out. Like, look at this. You couldn't have made this a circle? Really? It bothers me. But this is my indestructible deck that's supposed to get messed up. So, Prince of Cups, Steam, Sincerity. Okay, thing I wanted to do that is similar between these decks. As you can see, I already wrote on both. Now, I thought of also trimming Tantric Dakini. Why does it have a white border? For years, by the way, I thought that the original, the Secret Dakini Oracle, did not have a white border. Turns out they always had. It's just the way cards came back then, and they just decided to not change it. Some days I'm good with the white border. Some days I think the cards are just ever slightly too large, and it bothers me. And also I think, well, wouldn't they look amazing borderless? Because I've seen Catamancy Tarot, and she knows the deck better than I do, I'm sure, because she could recall all the names without seeing the names because she trimmed them all off. And then the way she edged it, that purple red, beautiful. I'm thinking I could do that, and it would look great with Ritual Tarot. Another borderless collage, analog collage. But you know what? They already look great with the Ritual Tarot. They do. I did all my March Patreon readings with those two decks. Ritual Tarot as the tarot base, and then finishing up the reading with a card from Secret Dakini Oracle. So I'm not going to trim them. I don't know. Maybe I'm not starting to agree with Mary Grace on why you shouldn't trim cards. I don't think trimmed cards lose their magic, but why mess with something that works? What's that saying again? Don't change a winning team or something like that. This one works, although it needs to get some grounding. That's on me. This one works, although I'm going to want to explore 6 of these cards a little more closely. Though, I've been looking at Outgrow Yourself Oracle / Tarot, because that is a Thoth-based Oracle deck. And I'm thinking, maybe, just maybe, do I want to add to these cards the little quote, the little words, the little phrase that's on the same card of the Outgrow Yourself Oracle? Because this says love, And you know what? This is Thoth. So when I'm feeling it, I get it. I know what it says. But sometimes, especially with this deck, I need a little extra. And I don't know off the top of my head what the word is that they chose for the Outgrow Yourself. But wouldn't it be cool to have a Thoth deck that has those little quotes? Or is that plagiarism? I don't know. This would just be for me, right? Just me writing on the cards as I've been doing so far. And then maybe on these cards, I could put Six of Wands. What is that? Victory? I could put victory on here. I could add the Thoth titles, the McGregor Brothers titles I could do too. And maybe also add the Outgrow Yourself thing. Although I'm going to have to look into that because, of course, I have to at least agree with all of them, right? But somehow I don't want to make them myself. Somehow I am in this mindset right now where I just want to bring in the best of several decks, actually better the decks that I own, bringing in an extra layer, you know? God, it's so cool. This is really my favorite Oracle deck. I want to make the connection easier. See what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to so get rid of the study, the using a book. Don't get me wrong, I love to read and I love to look things up and learn about tarot and oracle, but when I read cards, again, I just want to read cards. Can I please just read cards? Wouldn't it be cool? I don't think Outgrow Yourself really works for Tantric Dakini, but it would be cool to have the Thoth titles on there too, right? I mean, Ace of Swords, sorry, Mother's Milk. That doesn't have a title. Although I feel we could put something there. Maybe the Greek word. Or maybe just this is Scarlet Woman, equivalent of the Empress, although it is very reminiscent of the Lust card too, obviously. But maybe I could put just a word or 3 words, something, a very short sentence from the guidebook. Let's just start there. I have Scarlet Woman, the card right here. Let's see what it says in the book. Card number 3, the threefold nature of existence. Well, there, I could just put those 3 words. Creation, preservation, dissolution. The Trinity, the Trine of Astrology, the past, present, and future, the threefold cycle of destiny. The 2 large eyes of the Scarlet Woman as a goddess stare out over a cluster of small red flowers. In the foreground there is a large open red poppy relating her to the earth in its fruitfulness and fecundity. She represents the threefold play of the goddess, the Shakti, in her sensual and sexual aspects through her magnetic form, etc., etc. Creation, preservation, dissolution. Okay, well, let's see what we could do for the 2 of coins, which obviously would be change. Card 53. Tree Spirit, Yakshi. The power path of nature. Okay, so I was wrong, and I knew I was wrong as I said it. All these numbers, they're not just to find the cards in the guidebook. The tree spirit, Yakshi, bears the number 53, signifying the power path of nature. Okay. So, maybe I could put power path of nature. That would make sense, right? Making sense of these numbers. Because I don't know what it is without the guidebook. Okay, look, I mean, we have a sun and a moon in here, solar lunar forces of nature and their cycles of activity in the world as the biological rhythms. That makes really good sense with the change. The only constant thing is change. The card represents animism, the doctrine popular with those people who live and work close to the land, that all inanimate objects and natural phenomena possess a spiritual essence. Yeah, that's the way to go, in it. Animism. Maybe I should just do that. Trust my own instinct instead of following someone else's. That's the end of that sentence. So I could possibly put the outgrow yourself sentences somewhere on these cards, or at least try them out, see what it does. And then on these cards, I could put the significance of the number that they carry, plus maybe something that really speaks to me from the guidebook. For instance, tree spirit. I would need, after a while, a reminder that this card actually reminds me that I am an animist. Be reminded of animism and how good that is, which I guess you could get from tree spirit, but you know what I mean. Let's do another one. Okay, here we go. Asylum. This is one of the cards I do not love, but it bears the number 54, signifying the path of balance as an attribute of initiation. So after the 2, after the balance of the 2, you go a step further and you're initiated. So, okay, I always do this. This is not a horse, it's a unicorn. But I get confused because it's a brown horse. Have you ever seen a brown unicorn? Have you ever seen a white unicorn? That's a better question. Anyway, oh, doggy's dreaming. Oh, it's okay. The unicorn nests in the boughs of a tree which overlooks a beautiful verdant field. This is an idyllic and magical place, the fairy tale land in which the imagination, here symbolized by the unicorn, rests and takes refuge from the cares of the world. Unicorn represents truth, insight, at home in the garden of Mother Nature, feeling completely at peace. Why do I not like this card? It's so beautiful. I'm not sure if I would put the path of balance as an attribute of initiation. That doesn't really do a lot for me. I would put imagination and unicorn, actually. Unicorn with little arrow towards this little guy. By the way, Anna, this is a unicorn, not a horse in a tree. I'm gonna have to go through this whole book, aren't I? Damn. Okay, like a bubble, for the longest time, this was my least favorite card in this deck, but I did a reading for somebody and this card came up and it made me like the card. Because honestly, 4 of Cups, you can totally get that. It makes sense, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't really get this one, card 60, taking up arms, which is the equivalent of the 9 of coins. It reminds me of the Rider-Waite-Smith 9 of coins with a slow animal, which is the little snail. And now we have a slow animal, which is the turtle. But what does it mean? I could, of course, looking at it long enough, it does make sense. But sometimes I just want to be a little bit more sure. So let's see. It bears number 60, signifying the acceptance of responsibility as an expression of evolution. Okay. Against the abstract desert, symbolizing the battleground of eternity, a figure in armor stands upon the back of a tortoise, representing renewed spirituality. This form is an incarnation of Vishnu, the Hindu lord of preservation, in a particular aspect related to his tortoise incarnation, the symbol of evolution from the waters to the dry land. Ah, okay, so the symbol of evolution from the waters to the dry land. Vishnu took on different incarnations in different aeons in order to overcome various demons who had been troubling the world and the gods. Here this form is evoked to represent a position of great strength taken on to overcome all adversity both in this world and the next. See how it doesn't really make sense for the Nine of Coins. I do really, really, really want to stick to actually the order of the tarot from Ace to 10 that they have in the guidebook. And so I realize I might be wrong because they never actually say this card is the Six of Cups, for instance. They just say this card is a Cups card. Who knows what this little guy actually means? Because I would see it with the title and then the soldier guy on a turtle. Actually reminds me more of the Knight of Coins, especially the turtle guy in the Triunfo de la Luna. This is just a little fighter taking up arms. This is actually saying shields up. Not really time to get comfortable yet. Cutting through. This is the equivalent of the Eight of Cups. So let's just see what we're looking at. 49. Cutting through bears the number 49, signifying the full resolution of the path of the self, the occult experience linking this world to the next. From the waters at the base of this card, there emerges a single hand which folds aloft a rope noose. Oh, it's used for binding enemies. From out of the clear sky of pure consciousness, within which clouds of thought forms evolve, two hands appear bearing choppers. These represent the twofold nature of discriminating wisdom, the wisdom and means, cutting through the bonds of the cycles of death and rebirth. This whole picture thus represents the way in which the unconscious mind should be searched for the pure motivation within. That's kind of an aspect of indolence, Lord of Indolence, or almost the other side of it somehow, almost. Difficult. Then there's two other cards. I mean, I won't bother showing you because this video is too long already, but it's fair to say that I need to get into this book again. I remember loving it. It kind of reads as Book of Thoth sometimes. It's just as mind-blowing and evocative, etc. But part of it, I realize now, is because I cannot understand everything that's in this book because I don't know anything about Tantra, basically. And same with Book of Thoth, because Crowley was a madman, and there's no way of fully understanding every word he ever wrote, or everything he ever did. But the thing is, I want to get the best bits out of this, and the bits I understand and can link to the cards. Because I don't want to use a deck with cards I don't understand, especially if it's especially when it's a deck I've had for all these years, and still, you know, I love it, I rave about it, I really enjoy using it. It's just sometimes with those 6 cards especially, the meanings kind of, they seem to just not reach me. I use these cards intuitively anyway, but I like the intuition to click with the tarot meaning together with the artwork and maybe the title of the card, you know? Well, Mercury, equivalent of the Magus. And this blow your mind, it would be actually the Nine of Wands. Well, I can make something from that, you know? I can come up with things, and it's evocative. There's some insight that comes through, but I would like to have a more complete understanding and just experience a little bit more joy when actually pulling these cards. You know, you don't want to shuffle a deck and be afraid to get this and this and this card because you know it's not going to make as much sense as the other cards. I don't want to feel that with any of my decks. Of course, some decks I'll never be done exploring them, but I guess what I'm trying to say, after all these years, Tantric Dakini Oracle is getting a major comeback. This is all I want to read with. And I want it to make more sense. I want to know it better. So it's really having a moment here. And then this little Thoth with its incomplete initiatory process as a spiritual tool. I'm gonna have to do something about that. And then, yeah, why not add some more stuff to it? You know, just make it fun. I want this Thoth to be a little bit different than all the other ones. I mean, all the other ones, just a greenie. On my other Thoth deck, on my greenie, I'm not going to do I'm not going to modify it at all. You know, I'm not going to write on it. I'm not going to add anything. I'm not going to trim it. I'm not going to throw it around. Yeah, and then with this one, I can do everything. So maybe I just want to do more. I want it to be different. Okay, well, I'm losing my voice right now, so this is a good time to stop. And I just want to thank you in case you made it this far. No, this was a long and rambly one. Please, let's do the game again. I'm feeling kind of hermity tonight, so how about you, if you've made it this far, comment hermit underneath the video. Or if you have something to say and you've made it this far, try to incorporate the word hermit into your comment. It's always so much fun to see that. Yeah, you get so creative, and yeah, you get a little extra like or something from me. I know that's worthless, but still, it's so much fun for me. So your contribution to the video won't be worthless. To me, it will be very, very fun. Okay, I'll leave it at that, and I'll see you all next week. You have a wonderful weekend, okay? Bye.